we must have a consultative body on the style of Hazrat Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, otherwise it will become just a common house of democracy like other institutions in the world. So Khalifa, in representation of the center of Islam, he becomes the head, of course, and in him diverge and converge every movement of the entire affairs of Islam. So he has the final authority in decision making. So this is why these Majalis Shura, wherever they take decisions, they submit their reports to Khalifatul Masih, and when he approves them, then that becomes law, not before that. And it so happens that the thinking in the Jamaat University is so much alike, because taqwa is guiding the steps of everybody, and taqwa is universal. Taqwa is neither Pakistani, nor not Arabian, nor African, nor English. Taqwa is universal. So that is why everyone who considers things and contemplates on certain matters, then comes out with a decision, his own personal decision. He always thinks in terms of whether this will please God or not. And that is how we train our members of parliament, if you call it a parliament. So, and it so happens that the opinion of the people almost every time coincides with the opinion of the Khalifa himself. So there are hardly a few occasions in the history of Khalifatul Masih Sani, who remained Khalifa for 52 years, where he disagreed with the majority decision and took his own decision, like the very few occasions at the time of Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, when he disagreed with the majority consultation, and he was always right. So Allah also blesses the decisions of Khulafa Ahmadiyya. When they disagree with the majority decision, later on his decision is proved to be right. This is the Ahmadiyya system of Majlis Shura. And it so happens, this is this is the most beautiful thing about it. Once the decision of the Khalifa is made, there is not a single dissident voice heard after that. Everybody succumbs to it. Not succumbs, but willingly and lovingly accepts the decision as the right one. And I can quote many examples, but this is not the time for it, where every time this veto was exercised, the right of veto was exercised, the Jamaat learned through what happened later on that God had saved them from a wrong decision, from a wrong action, because this was the right thing. So this is how Majlis Shura sits and decides. Now during that history of Majlis Shura, it was decided that now the work of the Jamaat is increasing. We cannot precisely plan our works without knowing exactly what we are expecting for this year. And this system of somebody deciding to give something just cannot work anymore. Pay you must, because you have come into covenant with Allah. The moment you get initiated, Inna Allah ashtara min al-mu'minina anfusahum wa amwalahum bi anna lahumul jannah. This is the bay'ah. So after that, this covenant must be given some expression. It must be translated into real life. And that is the principle of Ahmadiyya sacrifices, financial sacrifices. I'll come to the unforeseen part later on. So it was decided unanimously that we should fix a ratio that should become the minimum ratio of payment of subscriptions, voluntary of course, but every Ahmadi who is genuine and real Ahmadi should pay towards the Jamaat funds and requirements. And the ratio was fixed to be 1/16. Why 1/16? Because in those days in India, the rupee had 12 annas. say 16 annas. Anna is 1/16th of the division of 1 rupee. So they said every rupee one earns, he should take away 1 anna from it and give it to the Jamaat before taking the money back home. You see? So this was agreed, and ever since this is being practiced. Only exceptions are made from time to time, like I did myself, knowing that Africa was so poor that there are times where they can hardly make the two ends meet. They have nothing to feed upon. And it is impossible for them to pay 1/16th, while it is so easy for the people of the rich countries. So I decided that the same basic principle of Masih Maud Islam should be applied, and the ratio which was decided by the Shura should be disregarded in cases of such people who think they are poor and they cannot maintain that ratio. So ever since that decision was taken by me in 1982 in Spain, the Jamaat is at ease. Whoever joins, of course he has made a covenant with Allah. If he is honest and right, he must pay something. Because the Holy Quran says, إِنَّ اللَّهَ اشْتَرَىٰ مِنَ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ أَنفُسَهُمْ وَأَمْوَالَهُم. After they have sold everything to Allah, how can they say we are exempt? So I said, don't be exempt for God's sake. Take it easy, but pay at least something. Even a filth will be enough. A paisa or a pie or a penny, whatever you may call it. But promise that you will do it continuously, and when Allah improves your financial situation, then you increase. So this system is now working as far as this we call it compulsory. Compulsory in the sense that we expect every Ahmadi to pay. Otherwise there is no compulsion. If somebody doesn't pay, all right, you can't call him non-Ahmadi because he doesn't pay, because if he believes in Masih Maud and Imam Mahdi, of course he is an Ahmadi. But a sort of second-rate citizen, where he makes a covenant with Allah and has small heart, he can't keep the covenant. This is one part of our subscription.